What's going on, everybody? We back again with another video. So this was actually the same day I did my grandfather's haircut. You see people going in and out of the video. This is my not coworker. We're students together in the same school. This is her girlfriend, and she just decided to come to me and get like a low skin taper. She said last barber messed her up, so I like to take my time with the consultations. Unfortunately, I didn't see myself getting in the way of the camera. I do want to still push out this content because I think the haircut came out really nice. I did have to do a lot of chopping and a lot of editing. This is my fault. I completely just could have just paid attention for that part. But I definitely just wanted to make sure the haircut came out pretty good because unlike my grandfather, if I mess up like these people, this is my first impression. I really care about that. I really care about the quality of my work. So I wasn't really focused about staying in front of the camera or not. And I do apologize about that. It did get a little blurry. But like I said in the previous video, this was the first time I used the camera. So I didn't know what manual focus was. I didn't know what autofocus was. I went home afterwards and I studied the camera just so I can understand the settings a little better. But it's gonna be the same steps for this guideline that I used on my grandfather. Same with the ball line with the trimmer. Go about a finger's width or a ½ inch with the lever open. Then we're gonna go for that one open and then a 2 guard. Depending on the hair texture, usually with coarse hair texture, I like to go with the grain when I'm blending too, if spots aren't blending out as nicely as I would like them to. And it does take me a little bit more time. So this haircut took me about 40 minutes. And I know people are like, why is it taking longer to do this one than my grandfather's? When you're doing compressed blends, it takes a longer time because you're working with less space. And I noticed, I don't know if they do that a lot on the West Coast, but on the East Coast where I grew up, it was very compressed blends. So I'm happy to have learned that when I did. I just was always in the barbershop, so I got to see that. And then when I moved to the West, they stretch out their guidelines a little more. So that's why when people are like, oh, I want a compressed fade or a compressed taper, you kind of have to go to somebody that really understands that. I think Houston does a good mix of both. But definitely compressed blending, you get that in New York, you get that in the East Coast. They're perfect at that. Chicago too. In the West Coast, they definitely give you a nice fade if they're stretching a little bit, like the burst. I think that's definitely some West Coast stuff right there. But yeah, we had a great conversation. She's actually looking to go to barber school soon, and I always encourage people to go and take it serious. Like, this isn't just a craft where you could just mess around and do a few haircuts a day. If you really take this serious, you could change your life with this. And that's the path that I'm on right now. I'm trying to change my life with doing barbering, and that's why I take my work so serious. I give everyone the same level of detail and attention. I kind of zone out, straight tunnel vision. Every time I'm with a client, I lock in. I have a great conversation every time, but I try to lock in because this is what matters to me is my work. You're walking outside with my product, and I want to make sure you're looking as good as possible. So when people approach you like, oh, where'd you get your haircut? You can give them that recommendation with pure confidence. So I like to instill that confidence in people and just have them understand like this is the quality I'm gonna try to bring every time, and I'm gonna try to make it better every single time. It takes me about 1 or 2 times to learn people's hair texture. Again, I haven't been cutting for that long. I like to tell people 2 years, but realistically, I was just cutting myself and I cut my little brother from time to time. But in all honesty, I didn't start cutting until stage 2 in my cosmetology school. I did 4 months in September. So from September to January, I only did women's hair. And from January to now, I did men's hair. I messed up a lot in the beginning, but I cared about how long it would take me. Sometimes it'd take me about an hour and a half. Now, even on my most difficult haircuts, at most it'll take me is an hour. It just depends on how compressed the fade has to be, or if there's a design, something like that. So overall, I think this cut came out great. I wish I would have got better clips. I know it's a little blurry, that's why I sped it up, like I think 15% or something like that. So if it comes out a little choppy, I apologize. I still wanted you guys to see my process. I do a lot of blending with that 1.5 and that ½ guard. I'm trying to make my system a little better. So if you guys have any tips out there on what steps I could knock out of my system, just let me know. Like I said, again, it's gonna be that trimmer for that initial ball line, lever open, some lever play to get rid of that line, 1 open, and then I'll put the 2 either open, halfway, or closed, depending on how comfortable I feel with the hair, because you know every time it's gonna react differently with everyone's hair texture. And then from there, I'll blend with the 1.5 and the ½ guard. I do have a chart for my JRLs. I know the JRLs have a stretch bracket, so that fully open is a 3.5 millimeter and fully closed is a 0.5 versus like the standard, the 2.5 to a 0.5. So I sit there and I study my guard chart. Funny story, I was actually sleep talking through a haircut at like 3 o'clock in the morning last week when I did my grandfather's hair. like a week prior to it, I was thinking about like that time I messed up, and I really didn't want to mess up, so I was studying the guard chart, and I was talking to myself throughout my sleep with my fiance. Shit, that was crazy. I don't even remember the conversation, but she does. If y'all want to hear about that story, go check it out on my Instagram. But leave a comment, let me know if you like the content that's coming out. I'm gonna keep pushing this content out. I'm gonna keep trying to produce the best quality haircuts I can, and given the limited amount of time I've been cutting. But let me know what you think of the cut. Comment below, it definitely means a lot to me, and I'll check you out on the next one.